Thanks for staying with us here on Today. The days of international streaming services operating free in South Africa could come to an end soon. The Communications and Digital Technologies Department has published a new draft white paper on audio and audiovisual media services and online content safety, which seeks to regulate content. At the moment, some international streaming services don't require a license to operate and are not subject to local content regulations. Other proposals in the draft white paper include giving government input in determining which sports events are declared events of national interest. To talk some more on this, I'm joined by Collin Mashile. He's the Acting Deputy Director General at the Communications and Digital Technologies Department, and he joins us virtually from Cape Town. Collin, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. A draft white paper on audio and audiovisual media services and online content safety. It sure is a mouthful. Give us a bit of history here. When was the last time that the legislation around this kind of subject matter was updated? Because I have a feeling that it was much needed, because the world of broadcasting and the consuming of entertainment really has changed, even just over the last decade or so, let alone the last 30 years.
Yes, thank you very much for hosting us, and good afternoon to your listeners and viewers. So the last time we had a white paper on broadcasting was in 1998. So government had decided that we needed to update it because there were changes in the sector where we were moving from a linear, like free-to-air, to online viewing. So it had required that we propose new laws that were going to ensure that we have new regulatory systems. As you correctly said, you had the emergence of video on-demand services, commonly known as OTTs, that were making lots and lots of money, but had no regulations. So the broadcasting sector had said we needed to update our laws so that they are treated fairly, and we modernize the law. So the last time we had a white paper was in 1998, to be exact with your question, yes.
Give us an idea of what you were hoping to get out of this draft paper. What were your priorities going in? Was it to make more money? Was it to boost the producing of local content? Or was it pure regulation, which often when you use the word regulation, people see it as a bit of a swear word, that government is trying to involve themselves in things that they shouldn't be involving themselves. Give us an idea of what your priorities were going into drafting this new draft paper.
Yes. If you check the last pages of our white paper, what we are saying is that we wanted to come up with collaborative policy making. The local broadcasters were saying these guys do not have local content regulations, and if you check in countries where they are operating, they do have commitments to producing and contributing to local content generation. So I think we believe that that was a very fair point. We wanted to create that regulatory and policy framework where there was going to be fairness. We also wanted to ensure that in the online environment, as you correctly said, that we continue to protect children against harmful and illegal content that will harm their development. We also wanted to ensure that if you check how they developed, they will come with foreign content. But we said, like in all countries, the situation is such that in terms of their catalogs, in every country that they operate in, you find that there is a prioritization of such content. So we said in terms of the catalog that they come up with, they needed to collaborate with local content producers, which I think you have seen with what they have done with various projects. So we had wanted to protect the South African broadcasting industry, that it continues to be successful. But these guys, when they come with the technical expertise, that is acknowledged. But we had also wanted to ensure that there is a certainty in the legal framework, that when they come as well and invest, they know that they are going to operate within an environment that is going to be fair to them as well. So what we have done was to ensure that our legislative framework is also on par with the best international practice. So that's why over the years we have carried research, and that research supports what we have come up with now.
I understand that there are local content quotas to a certain extent that have been put out there. How does your department feel about how, especially these international platforms, have come to the party in terms of those quotas?
Indeed, there are various approaches that we had looked into. We had looked at various models, the Australian model, the European model. In various countries, you find that they will contribute via a tax that they will pay. And in Europe, probably, you will know that they do have commitments that 30% of their content should be of European origin. So in South Africa, we have looked at all those various options. And I think the OTT services, they are aware of that. And I think to a certain extent, they support it, but they are saying that we need to come up with a mechanism that will work for both the industry and them as well as investors, which is a fair proposition. So as we were asking at the beginning, so we held our public hearings in 2020-21, where they made their submissions. So what you are seeing now, we are summarizing what they have said to us, but you also recollect that the Department of Arts and Culture is leading the Creative Industries Master Plan, where it is said that we needed them to contribute about 2% of the revenue that they make in South Africa to content development. So it's in line with what eNCA is doing now with the South African content regulation, but it's not a strange regulation. They are aware of it in their countries. In Canada, it's the same. In Europe, it's the same. So we are just trying to match up to international best practice that when they come this side, they also do the same for South African content. And I think the producers also made the submissions. They support what we are doing.
As we come to the end of our conversation, give us a bit of a timeline about what happens next now that this draft white paper has been published.
Yes, before that, in terms of the question that you asked, and which is something that has been in the media, with regards to sports, what has happened is that in all the research that we have made, we have discovered that the list of sports that are in the national interest are determined by the ministries in various countries, and it becomes a responsibility of the Minister of Sports and the minister responsible for communications. And what that does is that when it's determined at that political level, because it's a political decision, as you can see what is happening next to us here, the netball, if it was not a political decision, the sports will have been in the subscription services. So such decisions are taken at that political level. The point is that ICASA is going to deal with dispute resolution mechanisms and development of sports. And I think in various countries, when you do that and give them that regulatory mandate, what usually happens is that you see a very positive effect to the development of sport, where broadcasters and the sports organizations start to go in areas where there is no development of sport. So it's a very positive regulation, that one, and a very positive decision that we have taken. So the submissions, we had envisaged to get the submissions by the 8th of September, but the industry seems to be saying that because it's a very comprehensive and a very important a decision that has to be taken, they have requested that we at least consider postponing the deadline to the first week of October, because we are a caring department and we want to work with them. I think it's something that we are going to put to our principal, that we can go up until October. But the intention of government was that we finalize the policy by November, because I think the target that we had was that the white paper must be finalized by the 31st of December this year. So if they have asked for the for extension, I think we will be able to provide that, and that will push up our finalization of this white paper by the 31st of March next year. But it's not I think they're being reasonable in terms of what they are asking.
Okay, we'll leave the conversation there and catch up with you a little later in that process. That's Collin Mashile, the Acting Deputy Director General of the Department of Communications and Digital Technologies. We thank him for his time this afternoon.